Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TARDIS Zone Talks. You're probably wondering why I'm live right now. Well, Radio Times has just dropped an article around about an hour ago, and when I seen this headline, I had to react because over the last couple of weeks, there have been articles from the Radio Times and other outlets out there that have been quoting obviously an interview or interviews that Matt Strevens has been doing. Now, as you know, Matt Strevens is still around. He literally said this until the two episodes wrap up. He was still around the place, and obviously he's doing some interviews. But he's late. But the latest snippet from this interview, or whether he's done a new interview, which we'll find out when we read the Radio Times article, is quite shocking. Now, the reason why it's shocking is because all along, us as fans have been telling everybody out there that BBC has been pandering to a small minority in this fandom. And the things that they have done in the show, there hasn't been the development there for certain things that they want to do. For example, the whole Thasmin situation, right? Now, I've asked on this stream plenty of times, and even on Twitter, the fans that support this, to show me the evidence that actually backs up this Thasmin thing. And I don't know whether Matt Strevens is doing it deliberately or whether he's just doing, I don't know what he's doing with the interviews, but the interviews seem to be very, very telling. Now, when you have a headline like this, which I'm about to show you, by the way, the link to this article is in the link description, so you can go and check it out for yourselves if you want to. But when I see a headline like this, right, which you guys are about to see now, right? Hold on. We don't want to make any mistakes there now. Right, so we move it down. Hold on. Sorry, the mouse on my laptop is a bit dodgy. Right. So when I see a headline like this, right, you can see it there, right? I'll make it bigger, right, because I want you all to see this. So when I see a headline that says Doctor Who's Thasmin romance wasn't originally planned, says producer, then it makes me think that everything that we've been, well, look, it's actually fact now, right? What Matt Strevens has done without realising it is actually prove everything that we've been saying about this whole Thasmin situation and other things that have been going on in the show. They've just been shoehorned in, right? So when I see a headline that says Doctor Who's Thasmin romance wasn't originally planned, says producer, then I see a showrunner and his team not having a clue what they're doing. Right? Now, they just put, now, again, though, here's the thing. Show me the evidence that actually backs up this romance. Because there is none. Because it's been done very badly. Now, recently, in a recent episode, obviously, Yaz, because they want to step it up now, Yaz has confessed her love to Dan. But the problem is, where was the evidence to back up that leading up to that? There wasn't much, right? There wasn't much. Fans were speculating and shipped these two together. And then the producers saw how popular that was on Twitter, because they just look at Twitter, these idiots, right? They seen how popular it was on social media, and they probably thought, okay, do you know what? We'll put the double bed in the very first scene at the start of the flux. Then we won't really mention it that much, and then we'll throw in a line where Yaz has been away from the Doctor for a few years or whatever it is, and then she'll suddenly confess her love, right? That's the development, right? Now, when Dan told Jodie's doctor that Yaz fancied her or had feelings for her, look at the doctor's face. Did the doctor react in a way that would suggest that the doctor is game? because I didn't see that reaction. And this is what I'm talking about. But when I see a headline like this, it proves everything that I've been saying on this channel from day one. Everything that they've been doing for this show, they've just winged it, basically. They've put in what's popular ever since Series 11, when Chris Chibnall tried something completely different and it didn't work. He went back to the tried and tested and then start throwing in all the... Then I'm telling you, he was looking at Twitter trends, or someone within the BBC. Oh, here, do you know what's popular on social media? They're shipping these two characters, Mandip and Jodie's doctor. Why don't we throw in a little hint here and there, but not actually give a proper development? And that's what's happened. There's nothing on Whittaker's side, doctor's side, I should say, that actually shows that she has any interest in Yaz in that way. Sure, when Jodie's doctor saw herself, she said that she fancied herself. She thought she was cute when she was talking about herself. But anyway, let's get into this article and let's see what's actually being said. So Doctor Who's Thasmin romance wasn't originally planned, says producer. He also promises there's more to come. So you're going to squeeze this in 2 episodes. A recently confirmed romantic connection between the 13th Doctor and her companion Yaz was not originally planned, it has been reported. Right, but hold on, you're saying romantic connection between the 13th Doctor and Yaz. It's the other way around. Yaz has a romantic connection to the Doctor, but the Doctor doesn't have a romantic connection to her. So even the way they've worded this article straight away is look, again, it's the Radio Times. I'm not surprised. I'm actually not surprised. Following years of speculation, the latest Doctor Who New Year's Eve or New Year's special Eve of the Daleks recently saw Yaz admit the true nature of her feelings for the Doctor, but fans were somewhat divided on the execution of this subplot, and that's exactly why I have a problem with it. This is not being executed. Listen, if you're going to do something this big, especially a romance like that in Doctor Who, with the 2 main characters, you got to lay that groundwork. You've got to do it with respect. And this is exactly why I have had a problem with this. Some argue that Yaz's gay awakening wasn't too little too late. Wasn't. It was. Absolutely was. You should have been laying the foundations down during Series 11. Right? And then if you're going to do this big reveal now, right, then you would actually... And again, not enough groundwork. See, they're even saying what I've been saying. I've been saying this for ever since this thing became a thing. I said you need to lay the groundwork towards the... Look at this article is actually copying me. Are you listening to me, Radio Times? So according to a fan in attendance at Doctor Who's convention Gallifrey 1, which is held annually in Los Angeles, executive producer Matt Strevens sheds light on why the twist may have felt sudden, revealing it was not part of the original plan for the Whittaker era. Well, yeah, that's you don't need to be Sherlock Holmes to actually figure that out. I've been saying this since day one. Day one. And it is. The twist may have felt sudden. It is sudden. It didn't. It might have felt sudden. It did feel sudden because there was no plan. I didn't know what Thasmin was. Oh, for God's sake, this article. Matt Strevens, you know what? On one hand, I want to thank you, actually, because, you know, you're revealing, whether you mean to do it or not, you're actually revealing everything that we've been saying on this channel and other channels out there have been saying. You guys have just practically winged this and haven't had a clue what you have been doing from day one. Right? So you didn't know what Thasmin was. Right? He reportedly said, Jodie said after the fourth season, oh, there's speculation out there, but we hadn't really thought about it. Exactly. So, as I said, because that scene in Arachnids in the UK, where it suggested that Yaz might be bisexual, all of a sudden, these little twerps on Twitter that ship characters decided to ship the Doctor and Yaz, right? So it was Jodie Whittaker apparently that mentioned it to producers. So again, her agenda is obviously, shown through. We told you she always had an agenda. Again, Matt Strevens is either putting his foot in it or doesn't realise that he's actually proven everything that we had to say. Or maybe he just doesn't give a shit anymore what people know. Right, the attending fan reported that Strevens said that he forgot about the Thasmin craze after initially learning about it in the run-up to Series 12, but helped incorporate it into canon story during Series 13's COVID-induced restructure. So you forgot about it after you were told about it. You did Series 12 and then you thought, oh, the numbers for Series 12 haven't done well, so what can I do to boost the ratings? We tried Captain Jack during Series 12 and that boosted the ratings. So what can we do now to boost the ratings? I know! Remember when Jodie told us about the two characters, the Doctor and Yaz? Let's ship them! We'll boost the ratings! Everybody will love it! Because the fans out there on Twitter are talking about it. Thasmin was something that Chris Chibnall wanted to bring in and sort of play with. So he just say again, that line. Thasmin was something that Chris Chibnall wanted to bring in and sort of play with. Do you remember all those idiots on Twitter that were thanking Chris Chibnall and saying that he was the best showrunner ever? And we were saying, no, it's disrespectful. He doesn't give a shit. Well, that line proves it. He didn't give a shit. Thasmin was something that Chris Chibnall wanted to bring in and sort of play with. You don't play with something like that. You don't play with something like that. This is a very serious subject matter that must be done with the utmost respect. Yaz is not sure about what these feelings she's having are. Yeah, there's more to come. And that's the article. Oh, these people are just proving everything that we've said. Everything that we've said. Oh, man. Anyway, here's the thing, right? We already know that he's been playing around with these fans. I've been saying it for months on this channel, right? Nobody believed me. These people have been calling me lesbian phobic and all of this other rubbish. Oh, you hate lesbians, I've been told, right? Apparently I'm homophobic as well, right? And this is what we get labelled, right? See, here's the thing. I get called all these things, but what these people don't realise is I'm actually fighting your side of the fight. And I'm on your side. The problem is that you are too self-involved, right? And too up as our own arses. You can't actually see what Chris Chibnall is doing is disrespectful, right? The bottom line for yous is, and the end game for yous is now basically is to see the two of them kiss. You don't care that it wasn't done with any respect, or as we know now, it wasn't planned, right? So they knew about it after Series 11, decided not to incorporate it into Series 12. This is what Strevens is saying. And then they decided then for Series 13 to incorporate it into that, but they were going to play around with it. So even when they decided to try and incorporate a little bit of this in, I told you the first scene with the double bed. Do you remember when they were chained up at first? They were hanging in the air. The Calvinista wanted to kill them. And then they jump into the TARDIS and they happen to land on the double bed. That's Chris Chibnall playing with these fans. And they're lapping up. They think it's the best thing since sliced bread. But again, the same article even, and Matt Strevens even said it, well, fans might think it might have felt sudden and a bit rushed. Yes, it did. Because it wasn't planned for. If you knew about it during Series 11, or when Series 11 had aired, and there was rumours out there, and Whittaker had informed you of this, well then you guys, whether I agree with it or not, or most Doctor Who fans agree with it or not, you should have incorporated that into Series 12 and made it a bit more obvious. So then when you do the big reveal, which you did do for Eve of the Daleks, it would have made a lot more sense. But again, everything that these hacks have been done over these last few years has been winged. They're winging it. They haven't got a clue. They've never had a clue what they've been doing with the show. And it's an absolute disgrace. Disgrace. And this is why I've been calling this out, right? And you know what? Every article that's coming out is vindicating me and this channel, right? Because we get a lot of stick in this fandom for what we say, for the beliefs that we have, and for the stuff that I've called out. I've been called all sorts of names. But yeah, Matt Strevens, with every day that passes by, there seems to be a new article and he keeps opening his mouth. And the more he keeps opening his mouth, the more he vindicates this channel and me and others out there that have been harassed and abused in this fandom. We told you all along. These guys are just shoehorning this shit in because it happens to be popular with a few people on Twitter. It's not even constructed well. There's no thought process put into it. And all of these fans then were saying we're praising Chris Chibnall. Even people coming out and saying, oh, thanks to Chris Chibnall of being able to come out and I feel great about myself. Well, if that's all it takes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you guys that he's pandering to, you should expect a lot more than this, because this is absolutely shocking. And the fact that Strevens has actually come out and said he's going to play with it, but there's more to come. Yeah, he's going to keep baiting you now for the next 2 episodes, folks. And then, if you think he's going to get you a happy ending, I'm just going to let you know right now, you aren't going to get you a happy ending. He won't let this end the way you think it's going to end. Either Yaz is going to die or she's going to be stuck somewhere. The Doctor's going to regenerate anyway. And if the Doctor does regenerate, right, and we do see the regeneration, let's just say that's still up in the air. But let's just say we do. The new Doctor could reject Yaz straight away and there's the heartbreak. He is not going to see this through the way he's supposed to see this through. He'll bait you and give you a little bit more indicator from Yaz. So now that the Doctor now knows, there might be a look here and there and all to see. This is the way he'll do it. It's absolutely disgraceful. I'm just baffled. I'm baffled. And look, I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't checked. I really don't care, but I would be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised actually if he's being praised at a high hill today because of what Matt Strevens has said. But in reality, people should be criticising, but they won't. Because if they criticise him now, right, it makes them look stupid. Because we've been calling this out from day one, right? So they're going to back it. And you're going to have few people out there that's going to defend this article. And they're still going to criticise me, even though they know I'm telling the truth, right? Because nobody likes to hear the truth. This was not done with any respect for anybody out there. Absolutely disgraceful. But we've said it all along. This whole production team, from Chris Chibnall to Matt Strevens and everybody else he's had working behind the scenes, have not had a clue what they're doing. And they've been winging it from day one. And you know what? No wonder RTD is coming back. This show really is in the shit pan. And it's about to get worse, folks, if Matt Strevens' words are out to go by. There's more to come. This gets worse, folks. And you know what? I don't really care, to be quite honest, if Yaz and the Doctor do end up, if that's what they want to do. As far as I'm concerned, anyway, we move on with RTD. RTD will hopefully ignore all of this because he has to, and I do believe he will. But this is absolutely disgraceful. But we've been saying it. Let's have a look at some of your comments, guys. See what some of you guys in the chat are saying about this. Actually, if you want to do me a favor now and throw in these comments, because this mouse is acting up, and I'll read your comments as they come in. What do you guys think of this latest revelation? As I said, the article is in the link description, so if you want to read the article yourself and you want to get that article out there and leave your own comment, your own opinion, do you share my opinion? Do you think that I'm actually jumping the gun and it is respectful? Or do you think that, like what I think it's disrespectful? I mean, if you're going to say that, well, we're going to play around with it, that doesn't sound respectful to me. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. Let's see. Right, so we got a couple of people. It's all done in October. That's true. Given Chib Dull's track record with gay characters, Yaz will die, says Leland. That's what I think will happen. I think the whole crush on the Doctor plotline has been done to death. No reason why they cannot have a gay or bisexual companions, but I prefer their love lives to be outside the TARDIS, says Leland. John says 50-plus year franchise. The show is too old for what they have done with it, says John. Again, the fact that he's come out and said that they knew about it after Series 11. They didn't incorporate. Then he turned around and says, and this is how disrespectful Matt Strevens is as well, by the way. Then he says that they totally forgot about it, right? While they were doing Series 12, right? And then they decided then, because obviously the fans were still talking about it. You remember all the chat during Series 12 on Twitter. They were asking why there wasn't any, and fans were getting scenes. Oh, look, there's a glance here. There, that's proof that Thasmin is happening, right? But it was never happening because he's at the saying it. It was never planned. So then Series 13, they decide because ratings are not doing too well. And this is what this is all about, by the way, folks, right? If you look at Captain Jack, John Barrowman's cameo, all done to boost the ratings when the show was in trouble. Unfortunately, this time for Eve of the Daleks, it backfired. And the reason why it backfired is because when Yaz did finally come out and reveal her feelings, a lot of fans looked at that, and a lot of the public would have looked at that and said, no, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. And then word of mouth spread. Remember, Eve of the Daleks apparently got 2 million live views. Now, I even dispute that and say, well, that's not a true reflection of how many people are actually watching Eve of the Daleks, because we don't know how many tuned out after 15 minutes or whatever it is as it counts. I think it's 5 minutes or whatever it is. You have to be watching a certain amount of time, and then it counts as a view. So I still don't think 2 million people watched Eve of the Daleks, and I think it's actually less, right? So the British public have already told you, Doctor Who fans have already told you, they reject it. And they're not rejecting it because, as the fans out there that love shipping these characters will say, well, these are all phobic. It's nothing got to do with whether we were phobic or not. And we're not phobic, by the way. We could see through this nonsense, right? Doctor Who has had LGBTQ characters in Doctor Who before. This is not a new thing, right? It's not a new thing, right? Doctor Who fans weren't complaining before when Captain Jack appeared in New Who when New Who started up, right? Nobody complained about Jenny and Vastra, right? Nobody complained about Bill Potts. The only thing that people were complaining about Bill Potts was because every 5 minutes she had to tell us that she fancied women, but we got it. We get it, great. But we love Bill Potts, right? Nobody complained about any of those characters. So the question you Thasmin shippers need to ask, well, why are people complaining about Yaz and the Doctor's relationship? Well, Matt Strevens has told us it was never planned. They basically winged it. And, Chris Chibnall's going to play around with it. So being disrespectful. Now, if yous are okay with that, that's fine, fair enough. If yous are okay with that. But we're not. Because as Doctor Who fans, there's a certain standard. And if you're going to tackle certain subjects and certain social issues and topics, you've got to do them with respect. You've got to put the character development and the story development in place. So when then you do a big reveal, it makes sense to the audience and the audience can buy it and get behind it. But nothing they have done has indicated any of that. And Matt Strevens, I don't know what he's doing. But these interviews that he's doing are very eye-opening. So I say, long may they continue, because all of this shit that we've been talking about for the last 5 years about this era, he's coming out and exposing now, whether he's doing it unintentionally or not. He is exposing all of this. So sit back, folks, and enjoy these interviews, because I'm telling you, he keeps giving stuff away. It's like as if he's throwing Chibnall under the bus, but I don't think he is. Let me see. I'm wondering how Matt Strevens got a job at the BBC in the first place. Well, as I told you, he was working on Misfits, another sci-fi show that I loved, and as soon as he came on board, the show went to shit. So he seems to be a wrecking ball. Sounds like the whole 3 years never planned, winged it. Exactly. That's exactly what they done. Look, that interview. Read that article yourselves in the link description and listen to his words and listen to how they're worded. Look at how they're worded, folks. They winged this. They're an absolute disgrace. But look, we've been saying it all along. This channel, the supporters of this channel, you guys that tune in, me friends on Twitter, people that I've gotten to know have been attacked, been called all sorts of names, because we've been calling all of this out. And you know what? These last couple of weeks, we've been vindicated. Because I don't know. I honestly don't know why Matt Strevens is even opening his mouth, but I'm glad he is, because a lot is being revealed, whether it's intentional or unintentional. I think it's unintentional. I think he's just, doing interviews, trying to keep it in the public, but he's not saying the right things, is he? He's literally letting the cat out of the bag. And listen, again, you can try and defend these ratings all you want, right? You can try and, spin, right? I think the more Matt Strevens comes out and talks, the less that people can spin this. Look, the illusion is broken that this era was a success, right? It wasn't. That's the bottom line. It wasn't. And the question that all fans need to ask themselves is why it wasn't, right? And everybody knows the answer, right? But there are people out there that refuse to blame Chris Chibnall or Jodie Whittaker. Now, very interestingly enough, this is the second time now that he's mentioned Jodie Whittaker in an interview, right? Now, firstly, he was saying in an interview that the costume designer and Jodie Whittaker was the one that came up with the rainbows for the t-shirt. No problem with rainbows. Look, Cheryl loves unicorns, so there's rainbows. I'm used to rainbows, right? But she was the one that wanted to add that, because she wanted certain fans out there to feel inclusive, as if they were never part of something, as if they were never a part of anything before. But they were, because nobody's ever said that LGBTQ fans need to get out of the fandom. When has that ever happened? Right? Nobody's ever said that. Everybody's always been welcome into this fandom. The third is on YouTube channel. This is from PD Rich. I think Strevens is begging for his next job, but by the time he gets it, the progressive fad will be over, says PD Rich. I think he's so thick that he doesn't know what he's doing, says PD Rich. As someone who enjoys romance, Jodie and Yaz deserved a well-written romantic story, not thrown in there at the last minute, says Melina. Has there been any indication about what Whittaker will be doing next career-wise? Just wonder if she's yeah, I can't really read that out. I don't like reading that word out anyway. But I know what you're saying. Well, she's going to be busy with motherhood because she's pregnant and she's going to be having her second child, and we wish her the best of luck. At the end of the day, the only problem I've ever had with Whittaker is with her acting ability and interviews that she's done, you know. But I do wish she's gone from Doctor Who now, so I wish her the best of luck, and I wish her good health and hopefully has a nice healthy baby. When she gives birth to her second child. So congratulations to her and her husband. As far as I'm concerned, she's gone from Doctor Who now. So, like, you know, obviously we got 2 more episodes to review, and then after that, then Whittaker, I won't be even. She won't. I'll be focused on the RTD era. Then that's it. So that's what she's going to be busy with. But again, you know, we've been saying it on this channel. So thanks, Strevens, for actually proving us all right. And you know, I think it's utterly disgraceful. But look, he's probably, I wouldn't be surprised if they're praising him on Twitter. And that's the sad thing about it. You know, Strevens has told them that there was no thinking behind it, but they'll accept that because the end game for them now is to see the 2 characters basically confess their love to each other and probably kiss. That's the end game for them. They don't actually care whether it was done with respect or not, or whether there was character development, or whether it felt sudden or not. Like Strevens even said it, Chibnall's going to play around with it. So he's not even going to respect it, you know? And that's the thing. There's no respect shown towards it. But these fans think he's the greatest showrunner and the greatest writer of all time because he's included this. And we've been saying it on this channel, and people don't like me, and that's fair enough because I'm a straight shooter. I don't hold back. You know, I'm gonna tell it as I see it. And you know, I could see it. I saw this coming a long time before a lot of people. It was so obvious. It was so obvious that they were going to do it. Listen, it's the last throw of the dice basically for them because they've tried. If you look at it logically, they've tried everything, right? Series 11, he done something new, right? And then remember, this was a guy when he did his first interview that said he didn't like Weeping Angels, Cybermen, and Daleks, right? What happens for his first special? He brings back the Daleks, doesn't he? Right? So he brings back the Daleks after saying he wouldn't bring back the Daleks. He brings back the Cybermen after saying he wouldn't bring back the Cybermen. So then he decided then to throw in the Weeping Angels. Listen, he's brought back the Jadoon as well, right? He's bringing back the Sea Devils. These are throws of the dice. These are desperate attempts. Final throw of the dice to try boost ratings, right? And it's sad, it's pathetic, and it's actually, you know, it makes me quite disgusted that Chibnall is allowed to get away with this. Why is there no outrage from all of these fans? Where is the outrage? Should you not expect a decent level of development for this story? You know, for it to be done with respect, not just to be winged and shoehorned in there. And as Strevens said, and I'm going to keep saying it, Chris Chibnall apparently is going to play around with this. So you's okay with that? Because I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be. And I'm not. And I haven't been. This is why I've spoke about it. But of course, all you fans decided to turn on me and to call me either homophobic or lesbophobic or whatever you just want to call me, every phobe under the sun. But I could see this. I called it out. And ever since, from day one, I've been enemy number one with these fans. Well, I hope you see that I was telling you the truth all along. And whether you like it or not, I've always had your best interests in mind. I just don't like how he's handled this. And it's absolutely disrespectful, disgusting, and disgraceful. And he should be ashamed of himself. Right? Even though I don't like this era, even though I don't like the idea of a doctor being in a romance, right? I didn't like the David Tennant, Rose Tyler rubbish either, right? I never liked the romance between the doctor and his companion, right? But here's the thing. If Chibs was actually going to do this, right, even though I'm not a fan, right, and I haven't been a fan of this era, if he was going to do this, right, then I'd expect him to lay, as the article says, and I think they're watching my streams because I've used those exact terms. You've got to lay the groundwork and have proper story development for this to be bought. And there was none of that. And that's why I've stood up against this, right? Now, this era is not my favourite, but if he decided to do it, he should have laid the groundwork. He should have done it. And then, obviously, then do the reveal when he did do the reveal. And then, if it was done properly, then, even though fans like me wouldn't like it and think it shouldn't happen, right? It's at least it's done properly, though, you know? And it was respected. But it's not. It's not. It's absolutely it's disgraceful. But look, again, thanks, Matt. You've proved me right yet again. I just, you know, I keep saying it to people. People should listen to me a bit more because I know what I'm talking about. Nothing has been done right from day one. Bad casting choices, bad writing. Can't wait until it is over, says John. He'll be bringing back the Macra before much longer, says Leland. Perhaps they don't care for this era underneath. Look at the ratings they are telling, says John. Chibnall playing around just about sums his so-called era up, says CJ Campbell. Exactly. They've winged everything. I've told you, even the Captain Jack scene was shoehorned in. Everything is being shoehorned in, man. Chibnall has not put in minimal effort possible. He's either just a very bad writer or just lazy writer. He put Thasmin in just to please the only fans he's got, says Raymond William. Melina says, for clout, the majority of these accounts are followed by the BBC, Doctor Who on Twitter. So it's a lot of book kissing with not seeing a single flaw of the Jodie Chibnall era, and not to offend the stands exactly. John says, I like the classic series better. It did not need to shove it in your face. Doctor Who is escapism. It's not real, says John. Again, you know, reading your comments, look, we've been, as I said, we've been saying it for a long time on this channel. I've seen right through this from day one. Even certain scenes that looked out of place for me, I said they were shoehorned in. Looks like they've been winging this from day one, folks. And this is why this era, no clear plan. No clear plan. The whole can of worms is slowly escaping and being laid to bear, squirming for all to see. Thanks, Matt. B.S. Strevens, you're either very stupid or just don't care anymore, or maybe both. Exactly. And listen, as I said it. What did I say a few weeks ago? And I said this backstage to a few people. The shit is about to hit the fan. Shit is about to hit the fan. Because there's a lot of stuff coming out. And I'm starting to think, well, why are all these people talking all of a sudden? John says Doctor Who is fantasy. That is why I like it. It's about adventures in the TARDIS. PD Rich, we all have now. That's why we're here. Exactly. You know, when I first started up, and then obviously people saying we talk about these things. Obviously, you guys all had the same opinion as me, because that's why I attracted so many to the channel. So again, you know, great minds. We knew what we look at. When I say me, I mean us all, because obviously you came to the channel, obviously because you had the same opinions as me and agreed with me. So yeah, but we have been speaking about this from day one. I knew this was going to happen. It was so bloody obvious. It was just the groundwork wasn't laid down. Raymond says Chibnall's only clear idea was to cast a female doctor. He had no more ideas after that. I would have to agree with you. I think that was his biggest card he could play. And unfortunately, his writing wasn't just up to the standard at all, was it? And it all fell apart quite quickly. Are they lining up to say it wasn't my idea? That's what it sounds like, man. Sounds like even when he talked about the costume, he mentioned Jodie Whittaker. It's like as if he's thrown. I'm not saying he is, because I don't think he is, or either he just doesn't care. But it's like as if he's thrown Chibnall and Whittaker under the bus a little bit. Is he trying to save his own skin? Are they all trying to save their own skin now? That's the thing. Remember, that if you were to listen to the other side, it's all being sunshine and rainbows behind the scenes. You know, chaos in Cardiff didn't happen. Chibnall didn't storm off sets, and Whittaker didn't storm off sets. Right? This is what the other side will make you want to believe. But we know different. We know different. We know that behind the scenes in Series 11, it's been a complete shit show. And again, that chaos in Cardiff's rubbish, right? That everybody calls rubbish, right? And says I was lying about, right? I even had people on their side even starting to question me about it. And then I start throwing up evidence then, and people saying, oh, yes, there is something up, right? And I covered that even from the Tolson Cole video all the way back. Certain accounts where they had, you know, stuff was happening with their accounts, with their bio. You know, 1 minute it'd say one thing, and then a few hours later it'd say another thing. There was stuff going on behind the scenes. As I've always said, nobody believe me. This is all gonna come out. I'm telling you, and I'm surprised it's coming out this fast. But I think there's people. I do believe they're probably trying to protect each other now, themselves, I should say. The series always used allegory and parables in its stories, but it never lectured or had pointed agendas before, says C.J. Campbell. Jordan B. Patterson summed it up to Hansen. Progressives always eat themselves or other progressives up in the end, says PD Rich. Queen Charlotte says, hello all. So remember when we were all saying this was not built or planned up, and we were told we were just mounting for a reason. You know, me and Charlotte. I mean, look, that's what I'm saying. That's why you all found me. We all had the same opinion. We all agreed that this wasn't done with any respect. Michael says, save the day, stop the monsters, and the doctor is no asshole. Oh, I love it. And I wonder, Olivia Coleman told Chibnall to pee off, says PD. Leland says, I suspect there will be a scrabble amongst the guilty parties to shift the book onto anyone other than themselves. once this mess is over. Well, that's what it looks like to me. Even for the enthusiasm, even the enthusiasm from former cast members of the show seemed very forced. Lots not being said throughout 13's era, but thought by all the top names, says Carol. The Thinking says, I think some of the team are itching to get their revelations out to save their career in their own skin. Look, I'm baffled by these Strevens interviews. I really, really am, because they are very telling. They are giving us an insight to the thinking of Chibnall and his team. And what it tells me is that for the last 5 years, this show has been headed by a bunch of fucking idiots that haven't got a clue what they've been doing, and have actually gotten a 50-odd-year-old franchise and ran it into the ground because they didn't know what they were doing. If Chris Chibnall didn't know what he was doing after Series 11, right, Piers Wenger should have fucking accepted their resignations. End of fucking story. Right? We wouldn't be in this situation. Remember, we spoke about this on this channel. Right? Apparently after Series 11 and it went so bad, Chibnall and Whittaker were willing to walk away. Right? That was the rumour. Right? They were willing to walk away. And that idiot apparently convinced them to stay. How I just don't know. None of this needed to happen. And that's what makes this so bloody sad and makes me so angry. Is that this didn't have to happen. If BBC, you know what? If you couldn't find someone to replace Moffat, right, and Chibnall was the only option, what you should have done is you should have put the show on hiatus for a couple of years, right? You didn't even need to put it on hiatus for 5 or 6 years, just a couple of years, 2 years off the screen. Get someone in that could do justice to this bloody show and give them 2 years to create something like you are doing with RTD now. He's made the wrong decision. But look, we told them all. They told us that we were haters. They told us we were sexist pigs. They told us that we were phobic this and phobic that. Because we were calling all of this out. And we were told we weren't fans. This show is not for you guys anymore. Leave the fandom. You are nothing but this, that, and the other. This is what we've had to put up with, and now finally it's all coming out. I didn't think it would come out this soon, to be quite honest with you. As I said, you know, very, very, I don't know what's going on, but there seems to be a bit of, trying to protect themselves. But none of this needed to happen. If you hadn't got anybody to genuinely replace Moffat, that was good enough. You should have put this show on hiatus for 2 years. You didn't even need to put it on hiatus for a long time. 2 years actually would have been, I think, nice. Fans would have, had a bit of a break, be reinvigorated, and then get excited again about what was to come. But no. You just give it to a man that had certain criteria. And he says, by the way, I'm casting a woman as the doctor, and you's agreed with that. I'm baffled. But look, it was what we've been talking about all along, and it is great. Look, on one hand, it's great to be vindicated, but on another hand, it's actually sad. It's actually sad because this didn't have to happen, and that's why I'm so angry. And this is why I wanted to do this article today. It's not me having a rant or ranting, because I'm past having rants to a certain extent, but this did boil me blood because it proves everything that we've been saying. If All we wanted was the show to be respected. It was, you got a 50-odd-year-old franchise there. You can't just come in and wing it and not have a plan. If you don't have a plan and you're winging it, this is what you get these last 5 years. And it's absolutely bloody disgraceful. No wonder RTD is coming back. No wonder he's coming back. This show needs its respectability built back up. It needs an overhaul. And that's why I think he is doing something completely different. Because we've gone past using the same format and doing Doctor Who the way it used to be done now. It needs to be something different and something special now because of what the last showrunner has done. And nothing from Chibs yet, which is extremely telling, says Charlotte. And you know what, Charlotte? That is the biggest indictment of this whole situation. The fact that the showrunner is staying silent and has not come out and said anything just shows you how much he cares about this show. He gives zero fucks. And that's what makes me angry as well. So you're supposed to be a fan, Chibs, right? You're supposed to care about the show the way we do. If you didn't know what you were doing, man, nobody would have said anything. You should have just stepped down. I know it would have been embarrassing for you, but at the end of the day, you would have been able to rebuild your career. You're good at drama. Stick with that. You should have gave up if you knew you were over your head. This is what happens. Too much pride in the industry. People should just know when to quit. Agreed, Noel. Should have rested the show after the 12th Doctor, and Lee agrees with me as well. They're all snakes behind the scene. Yeah, exactly. Fork and Hell says, I've been a fan of the show since 1970. I wouldn't be sad now if the TV show finished for good. Might be unpopular, controversial, but there it is. This even isn't a poor soap opera these days. Tragic. I know. Queen Charlotte says, let's be honest, certain people at the BBC would have heard female doctor and be willing to give him the show. Again, I agree. I would have put it on hiatus. I don't think Chibnall and BBC thought this true. I agree. No, pass having rants. Okay, obviously a Zygon. What have you done with the real Noel? Leland, see, here's the thing. Right, I could sit here and get me blood pressure high and blow a gasket every time an article like this comes out. But you see, I've already done all of that. Everybody knows how I feel, right? You all agree with me anyway, right? So there's no point in me keep ranting when it's not going to get me anywhere anyway. But I'll come on and I'll point these things out. And again, when an article comes out like this, I'm going to read it out because at the end of the day, I've taken a lot of shit in this fandom. My wife is being attacked. My friends have been attacked. I've been attacked. I've been sent death threats. I've been accused of stuff that I haven't even done, So, I've gone past being angry, Leland. A lot of people have said, a lot of people actually don't like the fact that I don't rant all the time. I have the odd rant, but I don't rant as much as I used to because it doesn't do me any good. My blood pressure shoots up and I just get caught up. And I don't need that anymore. This era is ending in 2 episodes. So I've got a little bit of peace of mind now for the first time in a long time in this fandom. And I even have trolls coming after me the last couple of days, but nobody's heard me react to them or say anything to them because I just ignore them now. They're nobodies. So I should have done that from day one. I probably would have drove them up the wall even further, but there you go. This era needs to be jettisoned into the cosmos and never spoken of again. What a mess, says the Thing King. Carol says, circling the wagons, more family members sure to be showing up to help save it, at least for all their fans. Good evening, Noel. Good evening, afternoon, chat. Hey, lads, what's happened in the fandom? Nothing's happened in the fandom. It's Matt Strevens opening his mouth. The article that I'm reading out is in the link description, Raymond. It's only a short article. It'll literally take you about 2 minutes to read. Go into the link description, read the article, and then I'd like to hear your thoughts. We've all been attacked, and they insist that it was a mild dog pile, these people, says Melina. I know. And you know, I wouldn't blame you if you were angry today, like I am, because this vindicates us, Melina. This proves everything that we've been saying. We haven't been lying. This is the one thing I've always said to you guys and maintained, right? And I've tried to say this to people out there. I have never once lied to you guys, right? I've always stayed true to my feelings, but I will call it out and see it as I see it. But the problem is, yeah, I might call it out, see it as I see it, right? But whether he's like this or not, or think this is cocky, 90% of the time I'm right. Because I just know how certain things work. And I just know how when I read interviews and I see people on screen and how they behave, I can figure this stuff out pretty quick enough. I knew they were going to do this. I've been talking about this long before anybody else was. And then when people heard me talking about it, that's how we grew the channel, right? All of this stuff that I've been talking about, all the stuff behind the scenes, it's all coming out, man. It's all coming out. Never lie to these. And then these people, other big YouTubers out there and Twitter accounts then that turned on me, start doing videos about me saying how I'm lying to you all the time. You won't hear them now. You won't hear them now. So as I've always said to those people, you know, at the end of the day, the truth always comes out. And we've been vindicated. So, you know, enjoy our last 2 episodes. You are just lucky that RTD is coming back. He's probably coming back now at a nice time. And the fact that we're not going to get Series 14 for 2 years is because 2024. Remember, we're getting the 60th. Now, that makes me... I do think it's going to be a multi-episode 60th because he's not going to just put out one hour long or hour and a half long story and leave it at that, and then we have to wait a whole year then. But they're giving them the time to get Series 14 together. So that's what should... Listen, maybe that's what should have happened with Chris Chibnall. Maybe he should have been given a bit more time to kind of think this through. Would we have got the era that we got? Maybe not. We don't know. We will never know now. Chibnall was Moffat's choice, to be fair. Moffat, I didn't think, yeah. Well, we all know about that little story that Moffat does tell about getting him drunk and saying he's the next showrunner. But I agree with you. But I do agree with you. I do think Moffat might feel a little bit guilty. But look, how was he to know? How was he to know, in all fairness, though? You know? The problem is not with privilege, it is with entitlement, says PD Rich. Chaos in Cardiff happened. Look, I still stand by that. I was one of a few channels that covered that, but again, I covered that first, and then everybody else jumped on it, and then all the haters then start doing videos about me saying I was lying about Chaos in Cardiff. I remember Dr. Freedom, and I don't mind, I'll call him out. I remember Dr. Freedom saying I was talking out my arse. and others out there. I wasn't talking out my arse. It's all going to come out and it's all coming out. Chaos and Cardiff happened. Chris Chibnall's a big crybaby and walked off set. And Jodie Whittaker did the same as well. And it'll all come out. And I know it will. I just didn't think it'll come out this soon. But I'm loving this. I'm loving this because every article that comes out, keep talking Strevens, by the way. Radio Times, keep doing interviews with him because I tell you, you're giving us some golden nuggets and you're giving me some great content as well. So keep it up. Keep it up, please. I like Torchwood, Children of the Earth. So do I. And who wrote that? Exactly. That's what I mean. He can write. It's just Doctor Who he can't for some weird reason. But he's a fan as well, which fucking baffles me. He's a fan. He knows what you can and can't get away with the show. He knows. He's a fucking fan. Just like RTD knew, right? But when he did add these politics into it, he made the story the focus, but he'd be able to incorporate all of these politics and the representation that he wanted to have in the show. That was the difference. Chibnall did the opposite. Representation, inclusion, all of these characters first, story secondary. Wrong way around. And he's already proved it because with Strevens saying that, well, we were made aware of it after Series 11, this Thasmin stuff, because Jodie had told us, right? So he's even blaming Jodie for that one as well, which is very interesting. And then he says, we forgot about a Jordan Series 12, but then we decided then for Series 13 that we play around with it. We'd include it and play around with it. Yeah. Well done, Chibnall and Strevens. Give yourselves a pat on the back. Yeah, it was... Listen, it was definitely the shippers that drove this, right? And I don't even blame them either, because look, at every fandom has people that ship certain characters, right? It's happened for a very, very long time, right? But it's kind of stayed as this kind of, I won't say underground kind of movement sort of thing, but we've all known it's there, but we never take it seriously. Do you know what I mean? The fans have their fun with it. And we don't mind fans having the fun with it. If they want to do that and create art and all of that, no problem with it. But the problem is that they were pushing this and then the BBC jumped on it. Chibnall jumped on it without any plan, without any character development or story plot or subplot that made it make sense. This is why I've always complained about it. It's disrespectful. Right, anyway, we're going to have to finish up now shortly because we've got another stream in 55 minutes. Obviously, we got some new Who for you tonight. So I see some of my panel are already actually all my panels in the chat. So I'll be setting up that now and I'll be sending you their emails shortly when I set it up. Listen, I don't really care, Leland, at this stage. RTD is back. Whatever he writes, I know is going to be decent. So whatever he does for the 60th, I'm going to give it a chance because, in fairness, this is the way I look at it. For 3 series, I've given Chris Chibnall a chance. Now, you think after Series 11, I would have walked away, but I didn't. I'll give him a chance, I said. Even though I hated it, I said, I'll still watch. I'll give it a chance. Series 12 was a slight improvement on Series 11 until he did the whole Fugitive Doctor thing. Now, I've nothing against the actress, Jo Martin, or the Fugitive Doctor. But again, it felt shoehorned in. Right? No proper planning for it. Right? And then we get the Timeless Child nonsense. So that wiped out Series 12, right? Series 12 was okay up until the point. It still wasn't Chris Chibnall's best writing or anything like that. But if you take away the Fugitive Doctor and the Timeless Children stuff, Series 12 actually wasn't bad on the surface to a certain extent. It's still poor. It still wasn't up to the standard that it should be. But it would have been a lot better received than Series 11. But it wasn't because of what I explained happened. Right? And again, I honestly do believe that the timeless child nonsense, right? Because if you look at Series 11, yeah, there was a line, right? But what else was there during Series 11 that really backed this whole subplot up that he was doing about the timeless child? What others, you know what I mean? Where was the develop? See, you're going to do something this big as well. And this is the problem that I've had as well. So you're going to say that there was other doctors before William Hartnell. Fair enough, right? Personally, I don't agree with it, okay? But fair enough. If you're going to do something like that, again, I will say you've got to be laying the foundations for that from day one. From day one. If you're going to do that in your era, you've got to lay the foundations from day one, not a throwaway line. You've got to lay proper foundations if you're going to do something that big. Because if you don't, then what happens? Exactly what's been happening. You're going to be called out for it. Yeah, well, Melina, they'll never stop praising her anyway. So Melina says, I'm also tired of the toxic positivity. These big accounts that keep praising everything just for clout. Jodie poops in the TARDIS stands. Yazar Queen. Jodie pooped. She is the universe. I know. She can do no wrong. She can do no wrong. I wonder if this convention was filmed. Maybe we have more revelations to come. There is plenty of people to throw under the bus. They are still queued up in Cardiff at a bus stop. Listen, this Comic-Con is going to be interesting. I wasn't going to pay attention to it, but I am now. I don't care if it's pre-recorded or live. I'm going to be watching it, and I'm going to be keeping my eye. Oh, I don't know when is it happening next? The end of this month, isn't it? Or start of next month or something. But I'm going to be keeping an eye on this, yes, because I think there is a lot of scrambling going on behind the scenes. To be quite honest with you, I think there are people trying to protect themselves. I'm a shipper. It's just that a lot of them are toxic, and those stands. Listen, as I said, right, I've no problem if you want to ship characters. It's happened in fandom for a very, very long time. My problem is that BBC, in their desperation, or Chris Chibnall in their desperation, decided to latch on something that really didn't have any strong basis for it, right? And then shoehorn it in the last minute. That's what I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with shipping per se. Listen, I don't like it, but it happens in fandom. It happens in every fucking fandom. They even ship Rick and fucking Morty, for God's sake. Right? I've seen that art as well. Right? And some of it is cool, I'm going to say. Some of it is fucking cool. It's just not my cup of tea. Right? But it's happened. Right? It happens even for movies as well. They ship characters that you wouldn't necessarily put together yourself. But this is what these fans do. But my problem is that Chris Chibnall used that. He used that to try boost his ratings. And it actually backfired on him. And it wasn't done with respect. Again, everything you do in a show must have legitimacy. Right? There must be that development behind it. RTD has been working on Doctor Who script since a month after he left the show, says Carol. Yeah, that's what I mean. RTD, look at I just can't wait for that man to take over. And I know the other side keeps saying, "Oh, well, you don't realise that RTD is progressive." We do know. The difference is that when he does it, he'll do it with respect. He will actually develop these characters. He'll develop the story, and it won't be just shoehorned in. He doesn't shoehorn shit in, right? And then if he does introduce a character that is LGB, right? Okay, what normally happens then is later on down the line, then those characters are reintroduced and they get more of the story, and then they become part of the whole thing, which we've seen. There were a few people on Twitter making accusations, not my doctors, were causing trouble at convention. Turned out, surprise, surprise, to be a complete lie. All done to create hate our way. Again, I would call out anybody that went to a convention and used it as an opportunity to attack Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall. I would, right? At the end of the day, we might have our problems with them. Yeah, but if you're going to go to a Comic-Con just for that, well, then I would say to your scumbag, right? At the end of the day, you know, they are human beings as well, you know. And yes, we might be angry with what they've done, but it doesn't give you the right to stoop to their level. Remember, these guys, look, Whittaker's done it herself when she did that stylist video. These people have mocked and vilified fans, right? Chris Chibnall has thrown his toys out the pram as well. He done that on an upgrade line. That was to get back at not my doctors, because Jodie and Mandip Gill had actually brought them up in an interview, right? Not my doctors is not even a group of people, right? It was people that used the hashtag years ago, and I was included in that. I did originally use that hashtag. I've never hidden the fact that I used that hashtag because Jodie Whittaker was not my doctor. But, as I've always said, a radical element in the fandom, unfortunately, start using that hashtag. And they were coming out with racist and horrible stuff. They were attacking cast members. Remember, they went after Sasha. They went after Mandy. I called all this out, but the other side don't tell you that. And then they tried to make out that I was the leader of this so-called Not My Doctor hate group. Not My Doctor, even What Culture did an article recently, which I will be doing when we do a proper Tarda Zone Talks, by the way, and I'll be bringing guests on. There are a couple of more articles that did come out, and there is one from What Culture where they actually call out Not My Doctors, apparently, right? Again, the media don't get it. Not My Doctor is not a group of people. It was people that used the hashtag, but they're not a group. They don't meet up in town halls, or they meet up in little groups and have conventions and stuff. They aren't a group, right? And most of us don't use that hashtag now. There's still a few, and and by the way, here's another thing. When that hashtag was taken over, I was encouraging a lot of people not to use that hashtag anymore, right? Again, that's not spoken about out there. I've literally videos where I've told people not to use that hashtag, that a racist scumbag element has attached themselves to that hashtag. But the other side don't tell their supporters that, right? They make out that I'm this vile, racist leader of this imaginary group that they've all made up. Right? It's a hashtag. Get over it. It's a hashtag that was originally used in the RTD era, by the way. Right? Then it wasn't used for years. And then it resurfaced then when Matt Smith became the Doctor. Right? So this isn't a hashtag that was made up just because Jodie Whittaker. The hashtag was there, but then it was repurposed by a woman in this fandom that I know and a couple of us know. And they decided they were going to use that hashtag. Right? But it was a woman, not a bloke. But the funny thing is, the woman that came up with that hashtag has remained silent, which I think is bad. I mean, if you're going to come up with a hashtag like that and people like me are getting attacked, well, in fairness, you should be coming out and saying, well, hang on a minute. None of these people have come up with this hashtag. It was my idea to use it, and give the reasons why. But again, the media are not getting it, and I called out what culture. They're not getting it. You're still bullying fans. It's still, even though this era is ending, you're still bullying the fans. And you're calling them all, giving them labels. Do you know what would be interesting? It'll be interesting to see when the Jodie Whittaker fans, if RTD casts a man, and all of these little twats then start coming out and saying, oh, it's another old white dude. It's an evil dude and all that. Another evil white dude or whatever. Right? It'll be interesting to see how the media treats them and handles them. Bet you there won't be a word said. I bet you there won't be a word said. They'll get away with it. At the end of the day, hold on, I'll read out a couple of more comments and we're going to finish up now. So let's see. At the end of the day, that's why we ended up on the TARDIS zone, finding people who also realised that Chibnall era wasn't Doctor Who, says Raymond. Anyway, time to do stuff. Have a good evening, everyone, says Leland. You have a good evening, mate. Robert, some imagine their critics have a leader and organisation because they don't think individuals can come to the same independent conclusions exactly just because they're a bunch of sheep. Don't label us the same as yours because basically we do have independent thought. Melina says, calling someone and not my doctor when having a different opinion about this era. It's so dehuman. That's why they do it, to dehumanize us fans. I was never a not my doctor. That's the weird thing. Lee never used that hashtag. After all these years of harassment and abuse and Chibnall and Whittaker's atrocious performances, they've made me want to say not my doctor. Never ever wanted it. Exactly, you never actually used that hashtag. That's the weird thing. I've openly come out and said I did originally use that hashtag and then the soon. And I've done videos on this channel where I've called the people out that and I've called them racists because they were. We seen them attack Sasha and others in the fandom and I wasn't having it. As I said, entitlement, not privilege. Exactly. They're collectivists. I'm an individual, says Lee. Sorry about that. I always counted myself as IDW anyway. Melina says the other side, who likes to call all kinds of nasty names and make up crap about Lee and Noel and others. They never were sorry for what happened to me and others bullied off Twitter. I've been more and not my doctor because I've not seen it in the performance. Give us a real woman doctor. I'd be okay. I never once used that hashtag. Never have, says Lee, which I know. Jodie will be heavily pregnant at convention. Yes, so that's why, if anybody, but look, again, at the end of the day, they're trying to drum up this hate, but if anybody does cause any trouble at these conventions, I don't care what side of the argument they're on, I'll call it out because it's wrong. I didn't like 13's era, but I just accepted that she was the doctor. Didn't even have a head canon. I still agree with the first statement, but my head's different. I didn't even think of ways to reset the timeline. 13 was the doctor, like Trump was the president, says Carol. And yeah, and that's where we'll end this stream. So as I said, go and check that article out. It'll be interesting to hear if any more stuff comes out. So stay tuned because we'll be on top of it. But again, that article has proven one thing. They hadn't got a clue what they were doing, and the show suffered because of it. Absolutely disgraceful. Yeah, I'm angry, but what can you do? It's done now. It's been revealed now. So that's it. As I said, all these spins and veil of lies are finally being revealed, and the truth is coming to the surface. like it always will, and like it always has. So, with that said, I'll say good night. Don't forget to join me in about 28 minutes' time for New Who. We're on Matt Smith. So we're Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, I think it's called. I always get that name mixed up, but that's the episode, or I think that's the name of the episode. So that's what we're doing. So I'll be back shortly with my panel. So talk to you soon. Have a good one, and we'll see you shortly. Bye bye.